All right, so we get started this morning. Let's begin just in a back lying position if we could. I'm going to have you bend at the knees. I'll go this way a bit. There we go. And begin with just bringing your knees, just rocking them back and forth really slowly together. Kind of release that lower back. Let's do that a couple of times. Start to get connected to your breathing. Becoming aware of your body. Now bring your knees back to center. And just relax your feet back to the mat. You can either keep a bent knee position or you can straighten the legs, whatever feels comfortable to you. As we just take a couple of moments to breathe. Inhaling through the nose, a full and complete inhale. And fill those lungs with fresh new air. And on your exhale, exhale through slightly open lips. And see how deeply you can exhale and really blow all of that old, stale air out of your lungs. We'll begin with a reading from Psalm 105. Give thanks to the Lord. Call on his name. Make known among the nations what he has done. Sing to him. Sing praise to him. Tell of all his wonderful acts. Glory in his holy name. Let the hearts of those who seek the Lord rejoice. Look to the Lord and his strength. Seek his face always. This morning we're going to kind of live in those terms about seeking God's face always, especially in times of trouble, in times of doubt and fear. We want to make sure that what we're doing first is seeking for God. So as you inhale, attach the phrase, praise the Lord. And on your exhale, seek his face. And with each inhale and exhale, let your lower back release into the mat. Let your shoulders release down into the mat. Seek the Lord, seek his face. If it helps, you can rock those knees back and forth again just to release everything, feeling the hips kind of press into the mat, starting to release. Praise the Lord. Exhaling, seek his face. Be thinking about, too, what that looks like for you. What does it look like to seek God's face? Let's bring the left knee into the chest, holding it in nice and close. Be careful not to let your shoulders come up too far off the mat, but have your knee do the work to come in close. Relaxing the upper body. One good breath here. Release that foot back to the mat. Other knee comes into the chest. Getting a little movement in the hip flexor. One good breath here. And exhale. We're going to release that foot. This time we're going to cross at the ankles and bring both knees into the chest. But we're crossing at the ankles and we're going to widen at the knees. The knees are coming toward the shoulders. We want to be nice and wide. And let's take 3 good breaths here. Pressing in, lower back is nice and flat. 2. One more good breath. Widening at the knee. And on your next inhale, I want you to rock yourself up to a sitting position. We'll come into a seated position. The old standby, waiting. We spend a lot of time here, and it's a good thing. Come in, if you stack your feet one in front of the other, and we're going to press the hands at the front of the knees and open at the heart. So pressing into a nice flat back, opening up. Inhale, and then we're going to exhale and roll down into a nice C curve. I'm going to show you guys that from the side. So we're going to inhale, a nice flat back, pressing everything forward. We're going to exhale, rolling down to a nice C curve. Inhale forward, opening at the heart. Good. Exhale, hollowing everything out, pulling back just a little bit, not so much that you're coming up off the mat with your feet and knees. Inhale forward, opening everything up. Exhale back. Let's come back into a neutral position and place the hands down in front of us, lifting at the heart. And just walk your fingertips down until you feel that stretch, mostly in that front, the lower part of the front leg. Lifting at the heart each time, and as you feel that muscle release and you feel like you have a little more room to move, go ahead and recommit to that position by lifting at the heart, keeping that nice flat back. Because it seems, I think, a lot of times like waiting is going to be this very passive position, but it really isn't. It's a very active position at first. And we have to keep intensifying that stretch. We don't want to get complacent in our waiting. When you've gone as far as you can go with a nice flat back, you can go ahead and contract at the abdominals and fold at the waist and get that nice deep stretch in the lower back. It should feel pretty good. You can bring your forehead toward the mat. And in this position, I'm always reminded of Moses coming down and, being greeted by God's face. What he does is he comes to the ground. He says, "This is holy ground." The light is blinding. We come before him. We just need to really bring ourselves all the way down. Take one more good breath here. We'll press up with a nice flat back and walk the hands back so that we come into a seated position again. And let's switch the feet out. And we'll do the hands at the front of the knees again. We're going to lift up and open, shoulder blades together and back. And then we're going to pull back into a C curve again. We'll just do this a couple of times. We're going to inhale, open everything up. And exhale to a nice C curve in that lower back. Inhale up and open, and then exhale back. Let's come back to neutral. Bring the fingertips down to the mat and lift at the heart. You may find the sides a little bit tighter, so we'll spend just a little bit more time on this side. Let's take maybe 2 or 3 good breaths at your initial position. As long as you still have, you still feel that stretch, you still feel the muscle tighten. As soon as you feel it release, though, go ahead and walk your hands forward a bit. But let's just breathe here. And again, we take our attachment phrase. Praise the Lord. Seek his face. And as you breathe through this, try to imagine what that looks like for you to seek God's face today. Walking your hands forward as you feel the muscle release, keeping a nice flat back as long as you can. Remember that these are positions of prayer and supplication. When you've gone as far as you can go with a nice flat back, go ahead and contract and fold and just breathe into that. It should feel like a release. Take one more good breath, and then we'll press up. Walk hands back. We're going to do kind of a twisty one this morning. We're going to do master's feet, getting lots of movement in those hips. So we're going to take, say, your right leg, the right foot rather, kind of bringing it down, not underneath your buttocks, but pretty close. And then we'll bring the other leg on top, fold it across, pretzel-like. And we're going to hold here. Find that stretch first, and when you feel it, go ahead and bring your knee in towards your chest, and it should intensify it for you. It should feel really good. Lifting at the heart. Now, if you don't feel the stretch, you can actually kind of bind that knee and twist a little bit away from that folded leg in front, looking over your back shoulder. Good. So if we are binding on the right, we lift the heart and we turn back over the left shoulder. A little bit twisty. It should feel pretty good. It's a nice deep stretch. And in Master's feet, what we think about is we think about Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus, looking up at the Master. And this is one of these positions. What it does is it stretches this nice deep muscle in the gluteus, the piriformis. It's a hard-working muscle. It's nice and nice and deep in the buttock. So it does tend to get very, very, very tight. And when that muscle is super tight, it can lead to back problems. It can lead to hip problems. So we're looking over, we're breathing nice and deep. Sitting at the Master's feet. Take one more good breath there. To release out of that, we want to look to the front first. Release the hand in the back. Twist back to the front. Then we release our top leg. We're going to switch them out. Other leg on top. Right. Go ahead and lift up and bring the knee in toward the chest. Let's take one good breath here. We'll go ahead and bind a little closer. Binding with the left arm on the right knee. We're going to bring the other arm back behind us. And look over that back shoulder. Breathe into that. And again, attach that phrase, praise the Lord. Seek his face. And breathe into those tight places in your body, those hard-working muscles. Lift at the heart. Recommit to that position. We're going to release this by looking to the front, releasing your back arm, releasing your front arm, and then releasing the leg. Whenever we build positions, what we want to build from the mat up, and you release the other way down. So however you got into it, to get out of it, you go the opposite way. Let's do compassion. So we take a nice, wide leg position, feet pointing up toward the ceiling. We're going to get this good inner thigh stretch. So we've gotten the gluteus, we've gotten some thigh stuff going on, but we're going to do this inner thigh that gets really super tight. So I'm going to have you press up first and open at the heart. And then we'll walk our hands down all the way as far as you can go first. Contract the abdominals. Don't forget to lift at the heart so we have good positioning to begin with. An open heart is the best way to begin any new position. We're going to bring the hand to the top of the leg. Now in this one, there are some people who have just super good, nice, I don't want to say loose, not loose inner thigh and hamstring, but there are some people who can reach a much deeper level of this more quickly. Find your level, find your stretch, because that's where your stretch is. So go ahead and walk your fingertips down as far as you can go and lift at the heart. Now the position we're going to go for that we're working toward is the forehead toward the mat again. And you don't have to put your forehead on the mat, but that's the position we're looking for. So go ahead and walk your fingertips down. You should feel this in the inner thigh for the most part. You may get it in the hamstring depending on how far you go down, but continue to keep a nice flat back for as long as possible. Contract the abdominals. And as you feel those muscles begin to release, go ahead and keep walking your fingertips down. Opening up at the feet. Sometimes the feet kind of dial in, so make sure you're opening up, pointing up toward the ceiling. Contract the abdominals, walk the fingertips down a little bit more. If you still really feel an active stretch, just stay where you are and breathe into that. All right. Let's add just a little more intensity by bringing the fingertips down, challenging that muscle a bit more. Contract the abdominals. See how that changes the stretch for you. Tighten up right at your midsection at the core. One more good breath here. It should feel like this is really starting to release. The muscles are opening up a little bit. Bring the fingertips to the mat. We're going to walk them in, the hands in closer we have a good supported position for that lower back, you can contract the abdominals and fold at the waist. Let's bring the elbows to the mat if you can. If you need to walk the hands in, that's okay. It's going to keep the stretch going without having any tension on your lower back. Let's go ahead and press up, walk the hands back, and release the feet. Come back into not a stacked foot, but a crossed leg position. And we'll do a little bit for the upper body. So we're going to bring the hands to the heart in prayer position. Inhale, exhale. Bring the hands forward to a position called welcoming, which is just reaching forward, straight forward, lift at the heart. And let's open all the way up to hope and stay here. Out either side. Shoulders down, away from the ears. And then press the arms open for dove. The chest comes forward, shoulder blades press together. We're going to release the hands, but we're going to bring them together in the back for a version of the gate. So go ahead and clasp the hands together, opening up at the heart. And then I'm going to have you begin to hinge forward. And as you hinge forward, if you can lift a little higher, that's great. But only go as high as feels right for you. Don't try to force it. This is a good stretch, just even if you come to the first position of your muscle stretch. Let's release that down. Let's bring the fingertips down, facing forward, facing into our body, and we're going to lean back on that, a nice bent elbow, opening at the heart. And imagine pressing your elbows toward each other to get a deeper stretch in that pectoralis muscle in the front of the shoulder. Let's bring the chin to the chest. Inhale, exhale. And then lift the chin up toward the ceiling. Bring the chin back to neutral and press up. Oof. A little bit of blood back in our, let's do one more twist. Let's do Joshua this morning. Joshua's good because I like the verse for it. Let's bring the legs into a position, usually do wisdom, but this morning we'll do Joshua instead. So legs straight out. You don't have to flex the foot if you'd rather not. That's totally cool. But if you want to add in a little bit of a hamstring stretch, then you can flex the foot. We're going to lift at the heart. And then I'm going to have you take your right hand behind you as far as you can. And your left hand will come in front of the knee. It's kind of like it's like master's feet, only in this case the legs are straight. So you can get a little more twist in the torso. And the verse for this comes from Joshua, chapter 1, verse 7. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Be strong and very courageous. Lift at the heart. Exhale. We're going to inhale and release the front arm, release the back arm, and come forward. Let's go ahead and bring the hands to the top of the knees. We're going to hinge forward and fold at the waist immediately just to get this nice stretch in the lower back. Whenever we do a twist, I like to do some release for the lower back as well. Press up to a nice flat back. Lock the hands up. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we take our nice straight leg position. The left hand comes behind us. The right hand comes in forward. We lift at the heart. and turn. This is a really good, safe twist for the lower back. Make sure you keep control of it. Lift at the heart. Be strong and very courageous. One more good breath here. Lift at the heart. And look back to the center. Release the front arm. Release the back arm. Now we're going to go ahead and come into cross-leg position. We'll roll up to hands and knees. So roll forward, hands to the mat. We'll move through hill and valley a couple times just to give that lower back a little bit of movement. We're going to press up into the hill, down into the valley. Up into the hill, exhaling. Down into the valley. One more time, exhale, up into the hill, down into the valley. And let's tuck the toes. We're going to roll up into that deep squat position. Get a good stretch in that quad, and that's, calf. We'll take one more good breath here to give that calf a little bit of time to stretch out. I'm going to press up, straightening the legs. Then you come about halfway up, hands to the top of the knees into a nice flat back. Let's release everything up to praise and release down to prayer position. Let's see. So what we're going to do today for our movement and our strength building, we're going to work in Nehemiah. So we'll do Nehemiah and then a position called wind and waves, and then we'll move right into a rise. So we'll go through them one at a time. Let's go ahead and take a nice wide stance on your mat. You can do it off the mat if you'd like, but just make sure you have some traction. A nice wide stance. Now the foot position is not straightforward, just a little bit, almost like you're going to move into a plie. The feet come out about halfway between facing forward and facing straight out. Let's see. Take wide enough stance so that when you bend the knees, your knee is not going past your toes. So take a look at your toes, take a look at your knee, and if your knee is kind of dialing in, if you can't see your toes, you try to widen them out and lift at the heart. Make sure you don't go too deep. Contract the abdominals. Lift at the heart. Good. Let's bring the arms out. We're going to press open at the knee and lift it into hope. Good. So we're nice and open here. Opening up the knee. We're going to take 3 good breaths here. So pay attention to how open the knees are. Pay attention to your heart being lifted, feeling grounded at your mat. Shoulders away from the ears. We make ourselves into that wall that Nehemiah built. One more good breath here. And then we'll begin to move the arms, kind of circling up like wind and waves here. Good. And just follow your own breathing. Should feel a little bit of fatigue happening in that thigh. That's what we're looking for. Lift at the heart. Don't compromise your position. We'll take one more good breath here. This is wind and waves. Last time with the wave. Arms out to the side. Let's drop those hands back down, coming up into prayer. Let's inhale up for prayer, breathing, straightening the legs at the lips, at the forehead, opening all the way up and releasing. We'll move through that a few times. So hands to the heart, bending down into Nehemiah. Let's go straight into prayer, breathing here. Inhale up, straightening the legs, the lips, at the forehead. Exhale down. Down into Nehemiah, nice and open. One good breath. And on your next inhale, release all the way up. Prayer breathing. Go ahead and cycle through that a couple more times, following your own breathing, making ourselves into that wall, lifting at the heart, and then releasing up, pressing out through the whole foot. Make sure you feel like you have a really good stance. Down into Nehemiah, lift at the heart. Each time you get that position, reset, find your footing. Make sure your heart is open. Exhale down. Good. One more. Down into Nehemiah. Lift at the heart. Inhale up for prayer breathing. This time, keep your arms open at the top. We'll move into a rise. The shoulders are away from the ears. Now, if you want to stay here, obviously you can stay here, but if you want to challenge yourself a bit, make sure you have a good balance, good footing. You're going to come up on the balls of the foot, all right? A good way to think about it is if you want to find your visual focus first on the wall, and then feel as though somebody's lifting you from the hands, all right? So to do that, you're going to contract the glute, you're going to contract at the core, and you can go ahead and just begin to lift. You don't have to go very far. What this does, it kind of throws us off balance. Contract the glute, lift at the heart, shoulders away from the ears. We'll hold here, one more good breath. And release it back down. Good. Let's come down into Nehemiah. Arms open to hope. Wind and waves. Get that nice deep stretch all along the latissimus muscle. One more time. We'll come back to Nehemiah. Hands come to the heart for prayer. And we're going to inhale all the way up, straightening the legs. We'll go right into a rise. Nice and slow. Find your focus and lift if you can. One good breath here. It doesn't seem like it would be that challenging, but it can be. And we'll release down. Hands to the heart. Once again, we move into Nehemiah. Lift at the heart. Wind and waves. So we come up first to Nehemiah. The arms in hope, and then we release back and forth for wind and waves. Good. See if you can really connect with that stretch that goes all the way down, even to the top of the hips, your really tight muscles. Okay, hands back to the hope position, dropping down into prayer. I'm going to release all the way up, prayer breathing. See if you can move into a rise. Find your focus. And we'll breathe here. Very good. One more good breath. Everything is nice and controlled, nice and tight there at the glute. And release down. Good. Very good. We'll do that one more time. Bend the knees into Nehemiah. Let's take a quick check. Make sure you're not going past your toe. Opening at the knees. Going to widen out. Hands to hope. Reaching out either side. And then we'll move into wind and wave. Get a little bit of movement in the torso now this time. See if you can have your torso stretch to the side as well. You don't have to be straight up and down. Open at the knees. Don't let those drop forward. Good. One more time. Hands back to nice and open. Shoulder blades down. Hands to the heart. Prayer breathing all the way up to a rise. So we're straightening the legs. Lifting up. All right. Good. Hopefully with a little bit of fatigue, which means this is really hard to hold, which means we're going to hold it for like one more breath. Lifting everything up a little higher. And then release it down. Good. Now at this point, go ahead and turn your feet a little more forward. Going to hinge at the hips with a nice flat back. Let's bring the hands to the hip and press them back. Good. Let's walk the hands down the legs. Fold at the waist, contract the abdominals, fold at the waist. Fingertips to the mat. So go ahead and widen your feet out as far as you need to, so that you can reach the mat. If you can bring your hands flat, that's great. And you want to keep a slight soft knee, so don't lock out the knees. We'll work in a couple of positions, foundation and tabernacle. This one is foundation. The top of the head is facing toward the ground, so you're going to be looking sort of between your legs at the back wall. Go ahead and walk the hands forward, maybe 2 hand lengths. Put your weight over your hands, and then we'll press back. A nice deep stretch. Should feel that in the calf and in the hamstring. And in tabernacle, I like these two. They have great verses that go with them. Tabernacles from Psalms. For in the day of trouble, he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his sacred tent and set me high upon a rock. Let's shift the weight back over the hands and walk them back. Make sure you have a soft knee and you're not locking out your knees. We'll walk them back. We'll move into position, into foundation once again. Should get a nice deep stretch now in the hip, in the hamstring. The head is toward the floor, facing the floor, so you're going to release that back. This verse comes from Isaiah 33. He will be the sure foundation for your time, a rich store of salvation and wisdom and knowledge. The sure foundation. I'm going to have you walk your hands forward 1 hand length. Put your weight over your hands. Press into the mat, and we're going to hop our feet together. So you have a nice bent knee. Good. We'll come up into a nice deep throne position. So make sure your feet are about hip width apart so they're not too close. You have that nice bent knee, hands to the top of the knee. Press up into a flat back. Bring the hands to the heart. So we're still in this bent position with a flat back. Contract at the abdominals. We're going to press up just a little bit so we have a lifted heart. Good. So here we are in that nice deep squat, the throne position. Lifting at the heart, shoulders down away from the ears. If you want to intensify this, you can bring the hands forward, and what that does is it changes your center of gravity. Makes your abs have to work a lot harder. But if it's too intense, go ahead and bring your hands back to your heart and lift, because I don't want you to lose that good heart position. Let's take one more good breath here. And then we're going to push all the way up, inhaling up, prayer breathing, exhale down. Good, very, very good. See what we're doing on time. Oh, we have tons of time. Great. So what we'll do from here is I'm going to have you take a step back on the right. A nice wide position. We'll move into strength. So you're going to come into a wide leg position. The back of the foot is going to be lifted, the heel off the floor. You're up on the ball of the foot. I want you first just to press your hips forward so you feel this good stretch in the front of the hip. The front knee is bent but not past the toe. Hands to the heart. Lifting here. The glute is nice and contracted, helping to hold us in place. We're going to hinge forward over that front knee. Bring the hands to the knee. And then we'll bring the hands to the floor if you can. See how that feels. Good. Now from here, if you want, you can actually widen your stance a bit. You get a really deep stretch in the front of that leg. This position is called runner. So press out through that back heel. Try to engage that calf into a good stretch. You can bring the hands flat to the mat. You can step back into a stone table. Press shoulder blades together. Good. And then release all the way up in a 10. Pressing out through the palms. Contracting the abdominals. Let's shift back forward. Drop the knees. Roll up so that we come back to our standing position. Hands to the heart. And now let's step forward on the other side. You want to get your good footing. We're moving into strength again. The knee is not past the toe. Nice deep stretch here, so you press your pelvis forward just a little bit. You should feel it in the front of the hip. Contract the abdominals. Contract at the glute. Bring the hands to the knee and hinge forward. And when you're able, go ahead and come all the way down to the mat. You can widen out your stance if you like. By pressing that back foot a little further back. Go ahead and come to the mat. Let's draw that leg back into a stone table position. Press your shoulder blades together. If you need to drop your knees, go ahead and do that. That's fine. Making sure we keep a nice flat lower back. Upper back. Press all the way up into 10. Pushing out through the palms. To the soft back knee. That's totally fine if it gives you a good flat lower back. That's what we're after. One more good breath here. Let's shift back into a stone table. Drop the knees. And then we roll up. And let's just stay here one moment. One good breath. We call this the locust position. And in this, with the hands in the mat, it's nice and safe. You're not at any risk with your knee being so far past your toe. Press up. Into standing, hands to the top of the knee. And release all the way up. Coming back down. Now let's take that wide stance one more time. We'll move through our Nehemiah sequence once again. We're going to move through it pretty quickly though, okay? Let's begin with hands up, working through prayer breathing. We'll begin first with a straight leg, prayer breathing up at the heart. Exhale down, back to prayer, bending at the knees, lifting at the heart. Arms out to the side, wind and waves, one, other side. Back to the center, and we're going to release everything up this time right into a rise. All right? Coming back down, hands to the heart, prayer breathing up. Exhale down, bend at the knees, nice into Nehemiah. Good. Wind and waves. Just one time each side. Back to Nehemiah, then release all the way up. This time we'll go right into a rise. Good. Exhale down, hands to the heart, straight legs. Let's do prayer breathing here. Inhaling up, exhaling down, but we'll stop at hope. Release down into Nehemiah. We're taking it kind of from the top down this time. Wind and waves. Get some torso movement in there. Really feel like that's got some movement. Bring the hands down to prayer. We're kind of mixing it up a bit. We'll inhale up with prayer breathing. And lift up to a rise, coming up on the ball of the foot. Releasing it down, hands to the heart, bending at the knees. Here we are in Nehemiah again, opening up, making into the wall. Wind and waves. Good. Let's do 2 times on this side. Keep that forward momentum here. All the way up into a rise. 1 good breath here. Release it down, hands to the heart. I'm going to have you hinge forward into our foundation position. Go ahead and fold at the waist right away. Get that nice deep stretch in the lower back. Walk the hands forward a little bit. We're going to hop our feet together, okay? Nice bent knees, hands to the top of the knee. Press up into a throne position, nice deep throne here. Hands to the heart, we're going to hold. Press out through the floor, out through the toes, out through the ball of the foot and the heel. Open way up. Praise position at the top. And release down. Good, hands to the heart. We're going to just kind of cool down a little bit. I'm going to have you come, let's hinge to a bow. Make sure you have a soft knee. Contract the abdominals. Go ahead and fold at the waist. And in this position, go ahead and set the top of your head. Hang toward the floor. You can keep a soft knee. You don't have to have a straight leg. Should feel pretty good on your lower back. If you want, you can bring your fingertips under your toes. As long as what we're doing is we're getting a nice stretch in that lower back. One more big breath here. We're going to bend at the knees like you're sitting down into a chair. Bring the hands flat to the mat if you can and walk them forward. Go ahead and step right back into a soft stone table. Drop into the knees. Let's go back to Elijah right away now. You can lift the hands open, having them nice and open, facing upward. Let's widen out at the knees a little bit as well. So come forward, open at the knees, and press down into the mat. Your chest is going to move toward the mat. Flip the hands over so they're pronated. Palms into the floor, forehead toward the floor, or on the floor if you can. Feeling that good deep stretch. Remembering our anchoring phrase, praise the Lord, seek His face. We've spent some time building our foundation, dwelling in the tabernacle. Shift body forward. Close out those knees a bit. Tuck the toes and pull back to Elijah again. I'm letting our hands reach forward, feeling like the stretch is more in the upper body at this point. One more good breath here. Walk the hands back and press up. I'm going to have you cross at the ankles and roll over into a sitting position. And from there, we'll come back into a back lying position. Let's draw the knees, both knees into the chest, and just hold them here. And then rock them back and forth just a little bit. Very, very gently. On your next inhale, bring your forehead towards your knee. Moving up. And then release everything down. Now, if you want to keep a bent knee, you can do that if that's nice and comfortable. Otherwise, you can straighten the legs, but I just want you to breathe for a couple of moments as we close out our time together. Remembering that our anchoring verse today is praise the Lord, seek his face. Take a moment and just take stock in your body, what you're feeling right now. Pay attention to those places where the muscles maybe still feel tight. Breathe into those places. Or if there's a part of your body that just feels so good that you got some work in there, you got some flexibility, breathe into that place. Take a moment now and thank God for each part of your body. Thank God for your feet, the hardest working part. If you do spend a lot of time on your feet, thank God that you're able to stand, that you have the strength and the ability to move around, to be mobile. Give thanks for your legs. Give thanks for your hips, that you can twist, that you can move. Thanks for your torso, for your abdominals, for the core of your body. Thanks for your arms, for your hands, where all the heavy lifting takes place in your day. Give thanks for your heart, open, willing. Give thanks for your back. Give thanks for your head, for your neck. And throughout your day, rest in this verse from Matthew, where Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So praise the Lord and seek his face. That is where the rest comes. Christ has rest for you. Seek him out, because I think sometimes we try to rely on ourselves, thinking we are the ones holding this all together, but God asks us to seek after him, to seek his face. Give thanks to God today for the miracle that you are, for the beautiful garden of your body, for the blessings that you have. Thank you for your time this morning.